Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back, it's Jordan here. Today we're going to continue working on the Lego city. So the other day I made some serious changes involving the layout in search of more space for the downtown core. We moved the residential up there and the Ninjago down there. And my next goal here is to get vehicles up top there, because this road ramp right there, very rough draft. And I want to work on cleaning that up today. So how are we going to build this? At this point, I have no idea. We've got this tunnel entrance right here that allows vehicles to pass underneath the raised platform and pop out on the countryside over there. There is a platform covering here which needs to be modified because it needs to be shorter. Also, I think I need to build some sort of funky T intersection into that platform covering, because of course vehicles are going to have to come this way, either go that way toward the tunnel or come this way toward the ramp. So that is going to be an interesting build in itself right there. This right here is 2.5 base plates long. I think that's the right length, but then it needs to match up with a curve up top here, and these need to be blown up and turned into a T intersection. But how am I going to get this angle right? Is it going to be the same way? Is it going to sit on base plates, or am I going to build that so the base plates are flat here and build up the covering there so it's not open? And also, how am I going to cover it on this side as well, because we need to build up and cover that as well. I've never really built a road ramp like this. Sure, I've done some gradients with roads, but not this steep and not this large and not covering this massive gap between the platform covering and also the table. The typical Lego City road plate looks something along the lines of this. We have what I like to call road extenders on the side with one brick, one plate, and one tile. That puts that nice, clean, white line all the way down the road. And then we take those 16 by 16 road plates and we pop them on top of some plates, and it lines up perfectly with these road extenders which are put on their side. I was trying to figure out how to do this, like keep the road extender brick built with plates and tiles and have it going up at a slant without taking this entire base plate and essentially angling it how it was in the city there. Obviously, that would be the easiest solution. Just put some IKEA boxes or whatever it may be underneath this and get it going at that slant. Blend it in at the top, blend it in at the bottom, and then build something custom for the side. Maybe even put snot bricks here and put plates running down the side or whatever it may be. Obviously, that is the easiest way to build this massive incline, but I don't really want to do it that way. The best way to continue this consistent line and have it be part of the road, the easiest way would probably be to just brick build the entire road. So just continue adding bricks all the way across, put your dotted line in the middle, and then have the bricks end on this other side here. Just brick build the road like we've done with parking stalls and all that in the city. Now, I don't think I want to start brick building roads, and that's going to inhibit me or prevent me from putting this nice clean line unless I get really funky. So I've decided maybe on this particular road plate, I don't need to worry about the line. So what I did is I put the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 road plates all together, tiled them together, and also plated them together on the bottom. But I still want to extend it. So you can see over here, I've managed to extend it 2 studs just because some of the Lego vehicles are just too wide for your average road plate, which isn't very wide at all. So I still wanted to extend it the 2 studs. And I still wanted to put sidewalk on one side as well. So I've got this side ready to go for the road extender. All I'm going to do is just stretch plate all the way along and then put tile on top. That's going to give us the same height as the regular road plate there. And then I've started constructing the frame for the sidewalk. I've just got to put plates on top of this, and as you can see, the light bluish gray is going to be up against the road, so that's going to look pretty clean. Did a bunch of funky plate work on the underside here just to support that 2 additional studs going all the way across, and then I put some extenders coming out, and then I actually finished it with 1 by light bluish gray, just because some of the areas of this road might be visible on the edge of the table there because it's right up against that access hole. But yeah, I just stretched across with some 2x plate and put 2x plate lengthwise as well. And then on top of that 2x plate, I put some light bluish gray brick running all the way along the road, so it's nice and clean, looks like the concrete. And then I put some light bluish gray brick on this side as well and coming out off of those plates. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do the line with this method unless I just tile it in, but I think tile lines don't really look that good. I'd rather there be no line. I'm okay with there being no line on the inverted road. I think that's okay. But now I just need to go through here, plate this all off, add my sidewalk, so I still get my 6 studs of sidewalk, which is nice. And then I'm not going to do sidewalk on the other side. I'm just thinking there's only needs to be sidewalk on one side. I came to work today and I realized, oh no, I forgot to comb my hair. And that's where we bring up today's sponsor, Bamboo Lab. I was able to quickly 3D print a comb using my A1 printer. My problem was solved in less than 30 minutes. All I had to do was download the open source file online and hit print, and boom, I had myself a comb for the studio. How cool is that? I printed the comb in what I'm gonna call Battle Droid 10, because I also printed a 1/10 scale Battle Droid and a smaller one as well. Those two are the guardians of my 3D printers. We've got the A1 with the AMS and also the A1 Mini. These are multicolored printers, and look at all the different colors that you can get. Right now is the best time to buy a Bamboo Lab printer because they're having their biggest offers through their Black Friday sale, which is running until December 3rd. For example, right now you can get this incredible A1 3D printer starting at $300 US, and the A1 Mini for $200 US. One of the main things that I've been focusing on printing is custom containers for sorting and storing my Lego pieces. And today I'm going to be integrating a bunch of those into my drawers. This is sort of what it looks like before and after. So you can print these in any shape or size. You can print any bin imaginable, and it is just going to revolutionize our part system. Like, look at the tiles, they're so neatly organized. It is amazing. I'm working on printing more bins because I want to do the same thing to a lot of my parts. This is just so satisfying. Specifically, the small pieces are so organized now. It is simply incredible. I'm so excited about it. It is just wild. Also, check out this pencil pot. Isn't that cool? Taking care of all of our supplies there, like our pens, pencils, makeup brushes for cleaning Lego, all that. Easily accessible on my desk, and oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite characters. Plus, I needed a spot to put my headphones, so I quickly printed this incredible headphone stand. How nice is that? The multicolor, of course, you can make it any color that you want. I went with black and white, super clean. It's the perfect spot for my headphones. I love that. That is just amazing. You can literally print anything with these printers. It is simply incredible. Don't miss out on Bamboo Lab's best deals of the year running until December 3rd. My affiliate link is in the pinned comment and description below. I cleaned up the road plate a bit. Put the road extender on the other side with the tiles, and I also put the 6x plate for the sidewalk. Eventually I'll tile that off. Making it solid like gray on this side was probably unnecessary, but it is what it is. We know it's like that, which is sort of satisfying. This is how tall that platform is. I've stacked those IKEA boxes and put this road plate on top. So that's how high we need to go up. I also brought up a couple of these platform coverings. I was thinking, you know, we could do like rock work on the side of it, or it could just be platform covering because these are only 2 studs wide when you get up to the actual concrete, masonry brick, snot brick with the vegetation part. So I'm thinking we can probably just do those on this side covering the raised platform. So all I have to do is modify some of these, shorten them, get rid of the bulging rock work on the bottom so we can fit it within 2 or 3 or 4 studs on that side there. And then on this side, I can do the same thing. So I'm actually going to put this road plate so it's at 2 studs like that. And then this is most likely just going to be solid light gray with masonry and vegetation all the way to there, because I think to have arches here going up would look very strange. But then at the tallest point where we have the actual curved road plate, I can modify one of these and have it like there. So the arches are at the very top, and then here is all masonry, nice vegetation, and then we have the matching arches on this side. I think that's going to be the best way to do this. Now that I have a plan of what I actually want to do, I can start to time-lapse this build. So I'm using some light bluish gray 2x brick, also some 1x1 modified bricks with the forward-facing stud, and the 1x2 masonry bricks to add some texture to the wall. And I'm building this 2 studs wide. That's going to leave 4 studs on the other side so that we can blend it in with like the platform covering style. So I'm doing 2 studs here, just throwing in the snot bricks randomly and casing in some of those masonry bricks as well. I think that's going to be good. I'm going to figure out how to top that as well with like slopes or something to make it nice and smooth, but for now I just want to build the wall. Now on the far end where I have the 32x32 base plate, and on top of that base plate is going to be the corner that actually turns into the residential area, is going to be based with dark bluish gray. So there's going to be a little bit of dark bluish gray that I'm actually going to transition into the light bluish gray just to change it up a bit. Say, okay, there's some rock over here that sort of matches the existing platform coverings, and then there's going to be the concrete, so it sort of transitions into a human-made covering for the road ramp. Now, as I'm building, sometimes I actually turn one of the bricks 90 degrees and I have it stick out inside, and that's actually supporting the ramp there, because my ramp is actually going to be just chilling, letting gravity do its thing, but it's going to be supported at the top by those boxes currently, and also by the bricks that I'm turning in there. So I think that's really going to work out. I'm not going to tack it down in any way. It's literally just going to be held in place by gravity. Now in regards to mills plating, I didn't do that. So I figured I'd better mills plate the 32x32. So I've got to destroy some of my rock work there. I also went down and had a look at the city and discovered that I didn't need to do rock work on the side. So I'm just sort of doing some trial and error while building this as well. This time lapse just sort of shows you some of that trial and error as I build, destroy, and repeat. Now the rock panels, they're 6 bricks tall, and you can see the platform coverings there. They have 6 bricks of rock or dark bluish gray on the bottom, and then it transitions into 2 bricks of light bluish gray, and then there's those arches. And I'm only going to do those arches once again above the rocks below the curved road, and I eventually replace those IKEA boxes with some custom built supports there as well. And eventually the road is actually going to be fully supported by the walls on either side, because once again I'm just going to turn those bricks and have them stick underneath the road. And I also want to transport one of the panels with the arches and put it at the right height. Now you can sort of see what I mean about the visual there with the curve up top here, because I just put some of those boxes back in and it's sort of fully supported. I think this is at the right height. If I need to build it up 1 or 2 or reduce it, then that's pretty easy to do. Now I'm not going to build like a road on a base plate and pop it on top there. My plan is to use these and custom build it like I did with this one, with the sidewalks on 2 sides, not in the interior, and then wedge plate it all and everything around so we get that nice curve, and have it tack down onto custom built supports. So that should work. Now this is not neat and tidy here. This is very rough. It's all uneven. It doesn't really make any sense. What I plan to do once I build the next side, like the other side with these coverings, by just transplanting all those over, and once I build this and get that tacked down, then I can come in here and I can tidy all this up. If I need to remove a layer all the way down just to try and replace it so we get the right math and everything is equal, and then put slopes or curved slopes all the way along to get a nice smooth guardrail all the way along, then I can do that also. I'm going to tile this all off as well with some jumpers and stuff so we can have a nice walkway there, and probably put some lamps maybe here as well. And then of course I need to get the vegetation creeping up the side. That's why we have all those studs available. And you can see that this is actually going to start 3 or 4 studs in. But before I do this, I want to get this built and put that in just to make sure everything is square and the angle is right, because that could potentially change. And you can see what I mean about having the bricks come out and actually support this. And what I could do is, if need be, if, for example, it needs to be higher, well, then that's very easy. All I have to do is put some tiles or some bricks on that, and I do have open spots there, and it will be easy to deconstruct if I need to add more supports all throughout, or I could just build those supports right on the base plate. What I need to do also is come through here and mills plate it. The reason I didn't mills plate it is because I knew it was going to be sitting like that, so I can't build this up because then it will throw the math off. But in the interior, I could mills plate it as well. It's not going to be hard just to carry on here and mills plate it. But I think a lot is contingent on how this wall sits, how the angle works, and how this sits here. And then double checking that I have the right height of these boxes so that when we place it in the city, it's at the right height. Because could you imagine if I build everything, get it all done, and then I go place it down there, and I find out, oh no, I built it too tall or too short, and it doesn't line up with the math of the road in the residential area? That would not be good. It's actually a new day building this road, and the first thing I do is lay down some more plates and some more bricks because I want to give it a little bit more stability. Eventually, I'll probably be doing something under there. For now, I'm just using funky colors. But I think at some point, I'll probably switch it up so we can do like an underground scene. Maybe the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That would be crazy. Now I'm starting to dissect one of these platform coverings and trying to transplant it onto this new module. They've got to be modified because I need to shorten them so they match the height of the residential platform. It's a lot shorter than the other platforms, so I'm not going to keep them all the same height. Rather, they're going to vary in height. Now I've got to do the exact same thing with the second one. I am building up the bottom in light bluish gray, just because the existing coverings actually had the dark bluish gray rock work, but I'm not going to do that for the ones that sit behind the road. I decided to remove some of those slopes from the top because vehicles would literally be like running into them and the drivers would be decapitated, so that would not be good. And as I'm doing that, I am modifying some of them so that the supports or bricks actually stick out from the wall, and once again, that road plate is going to sit on those. So it's pretty much going to be fully supported by brick that's just sticking out from the wall, which I'm pretty happy with. For some reason, I didn't think of that at first, but then it became pretty clear that that's what needed to happen. Now, Mrs. Bricksie's here, and she said, hey, wait a minute. What you should do is put 2 studs of light gray on the road. So I pop the road out, I start modifying some of the underlying plate, so then I can stretch a line of light bluish gray brick along the edge, and that's going to give us a little bit of separation between the platform coverings with the arches and the road. Next up, it's time to start working on that curved road, which is going to lead into the residential area. Using 2 of those road plates, and then I'm going to plate off the rest underneath. So I have the plate go underneath, and then the tiles that go on top of the road plate to actually tack it all in place. And then I'm running some light bluish gray plate around the edge because that's going to be the part for the sidewalk. And I'm just trying to work out the math so that it fits in that area. It can be fully supported by towers underneath. We've got the 6 studs of sidewalk on the right side and going around the corner. We also have the nice curvature using the wedge plates. And then also I need to factor in the 2 studs of sidewalk on the left side or the inside corner as well. And I know these tiles, like sometimes you can see the lines and stuff and it doesn't look the best. The only way around that is to brick build these roads. But once again, I just don't feel like embarking on that here today. I feel like if I'm going to brick build my roads that I need to like brick build all my roads in the Lego City. And you'll notice that the inside curve is actually, I think, 4 studs too close to the line that I put in. Don't worry about that. I do realize that later on in this video, and I do fix it. There's also one other mistake that I've made while constructing the sidewalk for the ramp and also for this road. I don't know how I made that mistake. I've made so many road plates, but I guess this one is just sort of unique. So I made a mistake, but I do fix that later on in this video too. Now that I have my curve created there, it's time to put it in place. And I create those towers using like those lattice elements that are 6 bricks wide and 5 bricks tall. And I pin them together using some of the red axles, and then I put some bricks and some plates on top of them just to get it at that height, which I think is going to match up with the raised platform in the residential area. And then I need to modify some of the brickwork on the platform covering so that it fully supports that as well. I build some of the supports into that wall, and I'm trying to figure out how to clean up that gap between the two road plates and also the sidewalk, both on the top and also on the bottom. I experiment with tiles, I experiment with the modified tiles, I wedge some tiles in between it, and then I also need to create the 2 studs of road and sidewalk on the flat portion. Because this is angled, we're going to have that 2 studs on the bottom there. So I need to fill all that in, and I also need to blend in the gaps between the flat portions of road and the angled portions or inverted portions of road. So I went and test fitted it. And this is when I realized that I made a mistake on the sidewalk. The sidewalk is 1 plate too tall. I don't know why I did that, but it was coming 2 plates off the road. All of the roads in my city come only 1 plate. So I quickly modify that. I top those underlying plates with more colorful plates. I put a line of light bluish gray, and then I top it with 6x light bluish gray, and I also modify the curve so that it matches up with that. I don't know why I made that mistake, but whatever, mistakes happen when you're building Lego, and the nice thing about Lego is everything is fixable. Also, when I went down there and placed it, I noticed that I had to increase the height of my supports on the curve by 1 plate. So I had to decrease the sidewalk by 1 plate and increase the height of the road by 1 plate. Luckily for us, that didn't really throw off any of the math. It was nothing major. It was a pretty simple fix. This is a pretty cool road ramp, I would say. This is the best road, or the most interesting road that we've ever created here on the Bricksie channel. As you can see, we've added some vegetation creeping up the side there, so we've filled in all those available studs, which is good. And then I started adding some of these interesting curved elements going up the side as well. You will note that some of them are dark bluish gray. That's just because I ran out of light bluish gray. Just didn't have time to look through my unsorted pieces today because I was too hyped on building this. But I think that's pretty cool. They're separated by 3 studs, and they're all evenly spaced. And it just provides like a nice texture going all the way up. Also, the sidewalks have been tiled off. We've got Sheldon Cooper riding his bike up the ramp there. We did put some cheese slopes in. That's going to allow us to position vehicles driving up and down the ramp. I smoothed this out here, removing those arches. I figured that would probably collide with a vehicle. This might change when we actually place it and I start modifying some of the other platform coverings around this here. And then down here, there's the stonework, like all the rocks, and just plastered it with more slopes and also all sorts of different vegetation to try and break it up a bit. There wasn't very many studs to work like back from, so it's hard to get a textured rock face there, but I think the vegetation does a good job of sort of blending it in. You gotta remember that this is placed right on the access hole, so I think that's a good way to make it look nice. Down here, the sidewalk has been added. You can see there's not a huge gap, and we use those pieces, wedge tiles in between. This is just 2 plates and a tile matching that road height. Nice and smooth, I would say. There's a little bit of a gap there. Maybe I can put another tile in there. I don't know if that would make like a bump. Like maybe that's a little bit better. But not a huge gap. Minifigures can walk right over that and start making their way up. And the gap up here is quite unnoticeable as well. Just like a little expansion gap. And we've got the 6 studs of sidewalk on this side going all the way up and curving around. The curve worked out quite nicely there. The 2 studs on that side there, glad that we decided to add that just because it's nice, or it breaks it up right up against the platform covering. And then added a couple more supports. Down here is multicolored, but we do have great opportunity here that we could create some stories and stuff underneath this interesting bridge. So that might be pretty cool. And then once again, this road is just sitting here. I haven't fully nose plated it yet, but I could do that. I think there's a great opportunity here to build something interesting underneath this. I just noticed some of these supports were slightly misaligned, but that's all right. When we move this thing, it could shift and I'll have to fix it all up once we get it placed in the city, but it is pretty solid. Like it can move as one big chunk. I will remove this just because it's sitting there, so you may as well just pop that out. Transport it separately. All of these walls are all locked together but the height of these walls and what's going down up here might change based on where it sits in the Lego city. With that said, why don't we go place it? I'm really happy with the way that it looks in the city here. This is awesome. So you saw how I dealt with this gap. It's just the tiles wedged between that piece with like the upright sliver, I'm gonna call it. And on the gap up here, forgot to mention, I put the rail plates on the bottom of the road plate, and then one plate higher for the sidewalk, I put the rail plates in the underlying plate there. So it sort of fills that gap quite nicely. What I could do, I guess, is maybe put curved slopes here, and it would go right over top. But I don't think it's the biggest thing to worry about. But if I did put a curved slope there, it would be quite nice maybe. Then you'd have like a little bump though. But to look at this, everybody, it looks amazing. It's exactly what I had in mind for this area. So happy with the outcome. So there's still some things that need to be worked on here. First off, you can see the platform coverings that I put here are still shorter. So what I need to do is modify these ones here so they are shorter. And my plan for these shorter ones is to just have the light bluish gray wall going all the way across. And then as we come up to the higher area, I'll probably add another row of masonry bricks all the way along and keep this grass look here, because as you can see, that's at the same height as the sidewalk. So I think that's going to work out nicely for the continuation of the botanical garden and a nice view of the zoo and all that. So I think that's probably going to be what we're going to run with there. I do like this height here, but this grass, once again, it needs to be removed from the lower areas here so that we just have a nice guard wall all the way along in the residential area. I think keeping them both at the same height, so this height here, is way too aggressive. Like that's way too big of a wall. Plus we've got all those colorful bricks back there, so it doesn't really work. Now I do need to build this road here. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to save that for another day. My farmer, I knocked him over. Sorry about that, dude. But I'm going to save that one for another day because it's going to be a pretty big build that includes this 1.5 base plate segment right here, and also probably the 2 roads, and then I also have to modify the entrance to the tunnel there. So it's going to be a pretty big build, just trying to get these angles all worked out correctly because, as you can see, this is offset by a 1/2 base plate. Now, you probably noticed that I left this side open. That doesn't look too good. What's going on there? Well, if you didn't see the Bricksie Talks video, that's my other channel where I talked about the Lego city and my plans for Ninjago City, well, I'm going to let you know about them right now. So what I'm going to do is build a platform, and that platform is going to go from right here all the way to the other side, and that platform is going to be the same height as this, and it's going to elevate Ninjago City. These platform coverings, along with the car tunnel and the train tunnel, are then going to slide forward and go right there on the underside of Ninjago City. And then 2 base plates will actually be mountain that bulges out, and there will be a trail that leads up to the Ninjago City and more mountains in behind. So we have mountain, continuation of the mountain there, and platform coverings. So we've got like a nice hybrid feel there. I did go through and I modified these plates, so I moved this T intersection over. That used to be in front of the McAllister's house, and then I fixed up the road plates in front of the McAllister's house, and I was really happy to see that this now lines up. There was one series of trial and error where you saw I had to lower this by a plate and then also lower this entire sidewalk by 1 plate as well. But we've got it all figured out now. This is what it looks like from afar. Pretty happy with the outcome of that, but I really like this view over here. So prior to building this, that was all just open space. I think it was like a 1/2 base plate running across the face of those platform coverings, and now it's just perfect. It filled in that area, so it gave us something to work with there. It also gives the minifigures access to the raised platform, so I'm really happy with that. It's definitely the most technical road that I've ever built. Pretty amazing. 3.5 base plates by 1 base plate wide with the coverings and the vegetation and the arches and the unique guardrail, all that stuff. Plus like the brick and plate built roads with the tiles. So it's pretty interesting. So there we go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this Lego City update. I know I sure did. I think that's fantastic. Puts a big smile on my face, like, holy cow, that looks amazing. I can't wait to continue on the surrounding area and start to develop that raised platform. And it's going to be so cool. Everybody, thank you so much for coming on by. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Farewell.